Right. So we do have a problem in the lightweights, and probably more the women than the men's side, probably with the thoracic area and rib stress responses. Now, the pathology of a rib stress response, if the medics here, but I'll go for everybody else. If you imagine a piece of willow, and a willow is nice and flicky and floppy, right? And you grab a piece of willow and you bend it a lot. It doesn't ever break in half. But what happens is the little strips around it, the bark around the outside, kind of divide, and then the bits in the middle crumple up, don't they? And then you've got that bit that it's kind of, the bits around the outside are all stringy, and the pulp in the middle is all gone, and so the willow has got no more flick to it. Well, that's quite a long way down a rib kind of pathway, but it's the same image. The old rib sort of flexes a bit, and because it flexes and because it's meant to flex a wee bit and take stress, trouble is if you flex it too much, it becomes worn at that point, and that sets up an edematous reaction in the bone very vascular, very sore, and that then becomes a centre of pain. And we usually get people coming up as a bony rib stress response that sort of say, well, it was a bit sore, and I kept training. And then it kind of got a bit sore, and it was a day like this, and I was rowing up into the wind and into the current, kind of got a bit more sore. I had to stop the outing, but I rested for a couple of days, and that was fine. And then I did some weights, and it was kind of like, bench pulls, bench press, really made it sore. Then I couldn't roll over in bed or sit up in the morning or cough or sneeze, and it's like, hello. Those are three things pretty much not associated with rowing that are going to indicate to us, hey, we've got a real problem here with the bony rib stress reaction at that stage, not fracture. So I tell you those things so that you've got the markers out there. If you think, hello, I've got something underneath, usually on the inside arm, usually comes around because of change in the weather, change from long distance pieces to shorter stuff, bit of power strokes, bit of higher rate stuff. Coming into the heads, we often get it, crew changes, switching sides. Switching sides is another change. Changing from sculling to rowing, that's another change. All these things are the core or predisposing kind of influences when you're talking about rib stress response. And we need to recognise it all. Therefore, because the head of the rivers are at the same point in all of the time through the season, we get a whole bunch here and then a whole bunch before trials and a whole bunch kind of towards any of the other major regatta kind of situations when the pace starts to step up. Has anybody had a rib stress response? Oh, okay. All right. So that's nigh on 50%. All right, if everybody's having a look, which I think is probably about right. And they're pretty jolly uncomfortable, actually, to be fair. And, don't make me laugh and don't make me sneeze. They're really, really sore. So, the guys that have had them, we might tap into your kind of experience a little bit later. Okay, so we do have them. But I think when we're talking like in this forum, you don't just bang get a rib stress response. You're all training really, really hard. You're all kind of pushing either some work or some university. Are you all at varsity, all at UL or Associated London varsities? No, one not. Mostly at uni. Right, so you're all pushing around. You're probably all riding your bikes to and from. So it's kind of full on, and that's what we do, and that's what the rowers do, and that's why you guys are quite good at what you're doing. In fact, very good. And the warning there is just to hold your hand up when you think, I've got something going on the lateral chest wall. Might be slightly more anterior and it might be slightly more posterior, but commonly kind of up and underneath here. And if you've got that, sing out to your coaches and they will start to take a bit more of a look-see about what's going on. Okay, and see whether there's been any change or see whether you've changed your stroke profile or take you off the bench pulls, bench press, one-arm pulls and stick you on something else to maintain your kind of cardiovascular system as opposed to flogging things, sticking on you on the water's actually all right, isn't it? But on a really rough day, and not putting you out there, because that's going to make these things worse. Okay. We use a couple of bodies, and just knowing that we've got this thing on the film, make sure you, if I point to you and you don't want to be on the film, then don't. But right, we'll start with number one. So we look at what have we got on under there? Crop top. Is that all right?
I've got a sports bra as well.
Is that all right in the film? Okay, perfect. And so, what's your name?
Rosa.
Rosa. So normally I just call everybody George, but we'll call you Rosa. So common place for these to come in is through here. Now, is it you ticklish?
No.
That's lucky too. The ribs come down to here, okay, and the bottom series of ribs are floating ribs, and they just kind of get in the way. And if anybody's been in a really wobbly boat out at the catch and you've kind of gone whack, and you think, oh, it's really got me in the rib, it's because the pelvis, which is kind of here, is really, really close to the ribs, which are kind of there. And we're designed nicely, so especially the women, and designed nicely so the ribs, if you bend to the side, kind of curve inside the pelvis. And that works down on these bits down here. But actually when we start to move further up the rib cage, you know that the ribs are attached at the back to the spine, and come around to the front and attach onto the sternum. Now, the function there is that it acts like a bucket handle. And as you take a breath in, the bucket handle lifts itself up. As you breathe out, the bucket handle goes back down. Now, that's massively important, okay? It's the most critical thing about this whole business, because what happens if you don't breathe? You die, right? Really simple. What happens at 1,500 meters if you don't breathe? You lose the race, then you die. Right? So it's pretty simple. So one of the things that I think we see quite a bit is that, Rose, just have a seat on the erg and be a novice, okay? So one of the things we find, we leave the hand, we find, okay, so the coaches are going to say, you've got to sit up. And we get to another point of anatomy coming up in a minute. We've got to sit up. So you see the kiddies out on the water, and they sit up, don't you? And I'm just about to molest you all over. Right, so they really, really sit up, and they're kind of up like this, aren't they? Right? And if you see down here, which is difficult, but because you're sitting there and her back's pointing that way, what happens is, you can all try this in the seat. If you really stick your tits out, okay? Go on. Which is what we're doing with Rosa here, right? And that's like sitting bolt upright. Number one, it's not very comfortable. And number two, try and take a breath in. Doesn't work, does it? Right, now all go back and slump down as you were. Yeah, that's better. So you go back down there and take a breath in, and then you can fill the bases of your lungs, right? Okay? Now that's massively important, because as you're seeing on this little girl here, she's not very big up in this zone. Okay? But she's massive down in this zone, excuse me. She's massive down in that zone. So we want to use her breathing in the big bits of the breathing apparatus. And this is where it comes into kind of rib stressy and thoracic area responses. If you are, just roll up towards the catch. And we're not going to push a technical thing here, because that's the coach's role. Right? That's really, really coaches. But if you're saying, come on, girlie, sit up at the catch, sit a good girl, you just exactly to suck your tits out then. But do you see what's happened here? It's too much. It's too much. And you try and take a breath to check this position, and it's like, ugh. Right. And also you're stressing up around the whole of the chest wall. Chest wall, ribs are for breathing. We want to be able to breathe. You might not, your stroke profile might not be that you want to take a breath at the catch, but actually you need to be kind of relaxed in the thoracic area, not stressing it. Otherwise, we are going to get, once again, excuse me, that, just lift your arm up, where you've got your rib coming around here, instead of being a nice bellows kind of system as it works like this, it's going to go, you're all stuck up, sit your chest out again, good girl. And then it's all going to go, right, well, it can't do that. the bit at the front is, thank you, the bit at the front is kind of fixed, the bit at the back's going to move, and it's going to do that. Okay, rib stress zone. All right, thank you. So I will get you all up here, so you're doing it, but you know, you all got to be on the movies. So the importance of where you put the chest is really, that's the basis. Because the next bits as we go along, where you put your chest dictates where the shoulder girdle comes. Now I need another person to show me shoulder girdle, somebody with a crop top on or something like that. Right, what's the shoulder girdle? Any idea? Standing, I think. What's your name?
Joanna.
Yeah, we could just call you Rosa though, because
Okay.
it's a girl's name, and then I won't forget. Joanna, was it?
Joanna, but George or Rose is fine.
Okay, so just take your crop top up. You don't need to, or take it off. It's warm enough. Whatever you want to do. Okay, so and around, kind of 45 degrees to everybody. Okay, the important thing here that I want to get to before I trip over the seat is have an idea on what the shoulder blade or the scapula, which is this bit through here, and the function that the scapula, which is clearly that big wing of bone, it's a wing of bone, it has surface area to have muscle attachment. Muscle attachment makes us go forwards. Okay, we like that, we like muscles, we train them. If I take the kind of arm, and irrespective of what a lot of coaches say, the arm is only the attachment to the handle, isn't it? We want power from the legs, big muscles, connection through all of these bits, not overcooking this bit, connection out here to the handle in a particular stroke profile that your coaches want. So if we take the whole of the shoulder girdle, I can kind of move that around on the thoracic wall. Yeah? If we lift up the arm, just there, you're doing fine there. Lift up, the scapula comes round the side of the body. If we hold it in the middle, the scapula kind of looks like that. One fault that I think we've got to be very careful of is by saying when you come up towards the catch position, and we'll show with Rosa on the ergometer, is that we've got to be very soft with this area. And if we end up going bam into a kind of fixing position too hard, then actually it then becomes a concentration on the shoulder blade and not on the whoosh and then back out again, which is what you've got to do, or around if you're a stroke sider. Okay, so soft here, but now, if I now start slumping somebody in the boat, you can see that the shoulder blade starts to roll forward. We'll just go 45 to me again. Go forward. Right, it starts to roll forward. If we go right forward, right forward, right forward, it starts to drift. If we then come up, back, it drifts back as well. Okay? So wherever we put the chest, the whole of the chest wall, all of this here, pretty much dictates what's going to happen with the shoulder girdle. Okay? Just have a seat on the erg. And we'll do that. And are the feet kind of in the right place? It's cool. And we're not going to do anything really dramatic here, but just what I'm going to do is just push you around. So that's perfect. Okay, so just stick your arms out in front of you. Kind of, we're in whatever position we're in, aren't we? The shins have come back, so we've come off the front. We're imagining a power phase, so we're going that way. Now, you can see if we kind of hold in a position where we want, it's pretty soft, connection. Shoulder blade is doing, okay? If we don't do anything with the shoulder, now just slump completely. Keep the handle in the same place, because that's what we'll be doing out on the water. A little bit more. All of a sudden, we've got the shoulder blade popping out to the side here. Okay? Now, as you then kind of roll your pelvis forward, and this is sort of a discussion as well as just stop the seat there. Roll your pelvis forward, sit a little bit taller from the back, tall. We can change the position and then go over to stick your chest right out, even more, and the shoulder blade comes back, okay? But now that's difficult to hold on this bit, and when you were sitting up, just relax a bit, when you're sitting up being too stiff in your seats like that, it's a bit like you're like this, isn't it? Okay, well, you can't, you've just got to kind of hang But there is a position where you can hang, and that's wrong. And there's a position where you're up like that, and that's too far. So you've got to find that middle position where you're massively strong. Okay, and just roll forward. One of the easiest ways to do that now, really, really slump. Really, 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 really slump. Have you got any back problems? No. Got any chest wall problems? No. Okay. So come right forward, and we're kind of coming forward, and just start to drive away there. So where are her shoulder blades? They're kind of uppish, aren't they? And what if you guys were coaches? Just relax a bit. If you guys were coaches, what would you say to that athlete there? Because they're like that, weren't they? You kind of be saying, pull your shoulders down. Well, all of you do that. Go on, stump forward on your seat. Okay, so you had a bad catch, aren't you? Right, so the command from the coaching boat comes, drop your shoulders. How easy is that? It's weird, isn't it? It's kind of weird. All right, stick your arms back there, and we're going to do this in a minute. No, I don't mind doing this. Stick your arms back there where they were, sorry. Now just very lightly sit up a bit. Okay? And then some of you did it and some of you didn't. So when you sit down, slump again. Shoulders come up. Rise up a bit. Shoulders drop down a bit. What do we want? Shoulders down? Okay. The point being, and then some of you, I think, you sort of move to get it. Others will have a go on the erg. Come back up again. If we're in this position where we're all the way forward, a bit slumped, if we want to get your shoulders to drop, just sit yourself up a little bit, okay? And a little bit more, all right? And the shoulders come down when we sit up. The shoulders don't come down by hoiking them down. So that's kind of thoracic wall thing 101. Don't blame the shoulders. Look at the whole of the thoracic area. If you're then going through on a kind of power phase to think, actually we want this transmission through the arm, down through the latissimus, which is a big muscle that comes down here and attaches onto the underside of the arm. We want to see that kind of big sheet of muscle, that big flanking piece of muscle, come in and become engaged. And we might be able to do that on young Rosa here, so let's just give that a go. Right, so slump forward. Right, we're in a bad catch. Shoulders are up, aren't they? The handle's going to stay in about the same position because I'll hold it there. Right, just try and drive away. Okay, we get there, and it's not that strong because we can pull it back up that way. You set yourself up a bit. Keep going. All right, and now pull on a little bit more. Right, what do you guys see on the side there? Anything in particular? I can't do both things at the time. I want you to see that bit of muscle pop up there. Okay, come forward again. Slump, slump, slump. Go. All right, sit yourself back up again. All right, see it pop up there? Okay. Now, if we then kind of put that into very, very subjective terms, you go back into that catch position, shins vertical, yeah, you're perfect, sitting up a bit, and now kind of drive away a little bit there. Okay, keep going. So we can pick you off the seat, can't we? All right? Go down and slump. Try that again. There's no way, is there? Okay, and I would want you all to practice this in amongst yourselves. And did you see how much movement young Rosa did there? There was hardly any. All she comes up is popping up. Spin off, we get the muscle transfer right down into this kind of zone. This kind of zone is good. This kind of zone joins that kind of zone. That kind of zone joins that kind of zone. That's where we're getting our power from. Okay? Stuck through this point, here, we end up going, okay? Bang, bang, loads it through this zone. This zone stops you from breathing very well. Stopping breathing very well stops the good action. Thank you very much. Stops the action of the nice movement of the rib cage. Movement of the rib cage then stops the nice movement of the ribs. Ribs then stops breathing, and you can start causing yourself into a kind of stressy response. Okay? Now, I've done a fair bit of talking on that. And any questions with kind of where we're up to at the moment? Bit of anatomy, bit of how you're positioning the chest as a unit, bit of letting the shoulder girdle and the arms follow on. Okay? Now, should we get them to do it all themselves on here? Can we do that? Should we get a couple? Well, we'll run them through in pairs. So, through as a unit, and then I'll just sort of cruise between the three of you. So 1, 2, 3, yeah? One on the erg. Okay, so I want you to sit down on the erg, and maybe one of the others. You're all going to be filmed in this probably at some stage. So if there's anybody that particularly doesn't want to be, kind of go to the back. Right, we need somebody to hold on to the erg handle at about some position of wherever you want to be. Okay, so there are two ways you hold on to that. One of them, I would suggest that you actually stick your thigh, and get one hand and the other hand. Some of these girls are a bit big, and down a bit so you're not just dragging on your back. Put the erg fan in about that level. Yeah, kind of, just sort of lean on it. That's it. Okay, so what I want you to practice is going from, thank you very much. What I want you to practice is kind of going from a position where and the three of you coach in amongst each other, right? What's your name? Rosa. Rosa. Oh, Rosa. What I want you to figure out is that, and I'll just just have a relax for a minute, guys. Just go through those positions, and what I want you to really figure out is that if you're in a poor position down here, you can't grip and hold anything up through this zone up here where my left hand is. Okay? Then I want you to practice kind of thinking, if we sit back up again. And the aim is to get some sort of transmission of power down this sort of line that you feel as if you're getting something gripping through here that you can turn on and off without too much kind of, I need to grab through the shoulder. So that's where the hang comes from. You have to hold on with your hand, but through this bit here and here, you just kind of want to think, hold on, I can just be there without having too much energy or activity going on. And it's quite difficult. It's really difficult if Rosa comes down here like that, because you can see this all kind of opening up. And then as you come up into that position where shins are kind of vertical, which is going to be somewhere around where the coaches want you. I'm not going to tell you that's right, wrong there. What I want you to get to is that something from there, and then, and then kind of there. All of a sudden we're up a bit high, aren't we? Okay? So there's some position through here that you can still breathe. That you're not kind of having to go, and that if you did want to, this Rosa here could hold on as if somebody was pushing away like Rosa did, where's she gone? Over the back here, and lift it off, and almost lift it off without actually too much difficulty, right? Yeah? And so we've got to maximize that kind of drive through to feet, connection through to hand, through this area through here that we know that we're talking about, that we've got some issue. And what I want, and then add in the breathing. Okay, so if you're down here, okay, it's a bit like, because you've got your tummy up into your chest and it doesn't work too much. Up here, up here, up here, up here, up here, up here, stick your chest out, stick your chest out, stick your chest out. We can feel all tight through here. All tight, now you're standing up, all tight through these muscles through back here. It's a really good muscle, but it pulls the ribs down, stops the bucket handle movement. Stop the bucket handle movement. I think we then get into our trouble, just relax a bit. We get into a bit of trouble with us not being able to breathe, not being able to breathe. We fight it, and then we start getting that little bit with the willows. So you can see I'm always coming back to exactly the same thing. Connection through to here, down through the shoulder, breathing properly, transmission of weight. Okay, give that a go. Right, split yourself into a couple of threes. Have a bit of a go. Rotate round in the threes, then step away as threes or fours, or how many we've got, and or fives. I don't know. Join in, and we'll come in and keep talking.
It's going to go over the top. No, worried they're running clear.
Do fives or something, and just give it a go. Because
I can hold it. I want to pull Emily's rib.
It's kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whoops. So one of you might need to grab the seat. If you do get a lift up going, the seat's going to roll away. Okay, so work together. grab hold of the seat. Is somebody looking at? Oh, Rosa's looking after the seat. Cool. Right. So, good girls. Well done. Pressure. Okay. Drop the handle down a bit. That's quite high, isn't it? You wouldn't normally have that kind of there. So we want the chain probably horizontal. Okay. And that changes all this, doesn't it? Okay. Now go into a bad position, guys. Get in a bad position and kind of stick your chest out. You feel a little less tight through here.
Yeah.
Kind of too tight, isn't it? That's. Now, one of the things I've not done, and I just keep going back to this, I'm not coaching you, all right? The coaching positions and how the coaches want you to do with blade, and that's these guys' job, right? So all we're doing is saying, right, when you're coming up into a position that they're looking at, actually I can maximize out there because I'm not doing this, or actually I don't feel flexible enough to let it go round. Okay, so that might be something else we've got to work on. But we're not talking to you about where the blade's meant to be or where they want to feather it and do that. We're just looking at how you can load. Okay? So that's a bit there, isn't it? Yes, it is. You see, because you can always tell by the person hanging on at the other end that they're going to... All right, switch around, guys. Make sure you switch around. Just drop the hand on a touch because that's... Okay, and just I saw you practicing before, so it was like that, wasn't it? And down. We don't want too tight, and you can feel that tight through there, right? And we don't want that. We just want you relax. You've got a grip, but relax your hands, and then just press away, and it will connect down through here. Okay, and the aim is not so much definitely to lift off the seat. The aim is to make sure you've got some sort of connection through that from the hand to the lats. Then the lats into the driving place, and that you can still breathe at the same time. Right? Let's give that another go, fellas. Careful, don't in the same process of just let yourself go bam out the back there, right? So just get yourself kind of checking in there, check the breathing, and you might want we would want perhaps you up a little bit taller and perhaps that a little bit there. At close to the front end. Okay. All right, so don't hang there too long because that's kind of what you want, isn't it? Sorry.
See if I can breathe up there.
Sorry.
That's gonna be funny. So you can't breathe when you're up there?
Well, you want to try that too. If you're up there and you think, yeah, I can actually breathe here, actually overcook it and see whether that's not quite right. Do you see what I mean? But it really has still got to be, you've got to hold on with the handle and you've got to be able to think that this is coming from the legs and I'm not having to do anything around the shoulder blade itself.
Where's it?
That was a bit better, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Right? Because your shoulders, you were just like hanging. Yeah, well, pretty much. Okay. As I said, I'm not criticizing about technical kind of things. Well, right. Have a look here. This Rosa. Have a look at this Rosa, guys. Just do exactly as you did before, because that was. Now, I reckon that's a bit going the other way. I reckon you could do a little bit of just relaxing, not that bit, but that bit. Just soften there. Okay, now take a breath in here. Okay, you want to keep that going. Now take a breath in, push my hands away. Right, you see that breathing in your bases down there? Okay, keep that breathing going and try that as you gently press. And she just wants to curve in here, right? Can you see that? The guys on the side? Just there. Go again. Still getting a bit of load through there, aren't you? It's all right. You see you trying to hold on to it, isn't it? Did you see what I did then? We just sort of softened you off a little bit. You didn't need to be quite so up here, huh? Yeah. And looking from the side, we actually see your back kind of curving almost backwards going that way on your T-shirt as there was a little fold in it. Well, maybe we don't quite need that much. Okay? And actually the thoracic spine, if we use this Rosa here, just let go of your handle. The thoracic spine, we have a curve here. We're allowed a curve there. Yeah, and that curve comes right down to the bottom of where we kind of worked the ribs through before. So we've got to use the shape of that as the right shape. The lumbar spine, which is only from kind of where my fingertips are here, down to the top of the pelvis, which is where my thumb is there, through there, down to a bit there. So the lumbar spine's really short. So when we say sit up at the level of the lumbar spine, we're only talking of a really small vertical structure. Okay, now that's another kind of story, but we've got to sit up from the short bit and be long at the long bit. And you're a long person, so we don't want to see you go oof too hard. Yeah? And that combination is quite right, crack on. That combination is quite hard. Yeah? Because you want to be tall. That makes it a little bit difficult.
You don't have a rosa for the seat.
Less grip. Just grip good. Just load, feel that, that's it, feel it come through, right through. That was a bit easy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so there was all this less kind of, wasn't there? Okay, so all you did then was press with your legs and you had a transfer of load, and then try the breathing up there when you're kind of up there. Whoa, where's our person to hold the seat? Yeah, do you see what I'm getting at? So whatever's easy and you can load is got to be close to the right place to do it. Yeah? What are we doing? Well, I've got the seat held. Okay. Yes, I can do it from that side. Okay, where you go. All right, can you breathe up there? All right, and come back down. Was that a bit better?
Yeah, that's a bit better. Just like compared to Kate, it looked like her ribs were kind of tilted more up.
Okay, so I'm not going to be here tomorrow, the next day, the day after. So what are you going to do about that?
Many things.
There's three things you can do, okay? Because you're spot on, and this is good discussion, okay? So you go to the nth degree wrong one way, and to the other nth degree wrong the other way, and then you try and get into the middle zone, and you work that through. And the middle zone should be kind of. So one of you guys grab that seat, and the middle zone should be kind of a bit easier. And do that with Kirsty and there, and just sort of work your way through those angles and think, I could row like this for a long time. Actually, I find that a bit difficult out there. Or, gee, I'm getting a bit tired even just holding it in this position. So you work your way through. So listen to the guys, listen to the coaches, and just work through that kind of zone to see, yeah, actually I feel as if I could hold it in about there. And I think I could do that again and again. That's your position. Okay? So just work through that again a couple of times. Have you had a go? It's kind of better with the music going in the background, isn't it? Right. Probably we need a bit more up, I would have said, but a little bit more down on the chain. Okay, but you want to see her face when you do that in that position. You want to check that out. You talk to her. You help out on that. Because that was exactly what happened, wasn't it? You just about pulled her off the end of the erg. That's what happened. Is that right? Yeah, it was a bit like... Actually, we're not on film at the moment. It was a bit like, holy shit, I'm going to let go.
It felt quite a lot of strain.
Okay, good call. No, that's a really good call then, because that's kind of too high, isn't it? All right, well, I was just saying to this kitty down here that it's a bit like you might want to, okay, change your position. Oh, God, that feels kind of too hard, right? And you're saying that feels too hard. It felt hard. All right. Well, whoa. Change it and kind of think, no, right, I can't do that. That might be a bit stronger, but I can't do that, because it feels in the wrong place.
Yeah.
Right, well, if you kind of, it's the same thing. If you're there, you couldn't pull like that. If you turn around and face me a little bit more, okay, you can start thinking about that. If you turn around and face me a little bit more, okay, right on, square off. you wouldn't pull like that, right? You start getting into this sort of position. Now bend your knees down a little bit, okay? Don't like that very much, but if you set yourself up a fraction more, just stick your chest out towards me a fraction, all of a sudden your position of the load starts to change, doesn't it? Right, that's exactly what you want to do. Now that's hanging, isn't it? Okay? So you can do that on the erg, and you can think, actually, I was pulling really hard, but that was really sore in there. Okay, I have to change that. I think I know what I'm looking for. All right, do you follow it? Because 20k steady state is not going to be up here. We don't want it up there. We want it right the way through there.
So, like, if the hand is in a fixed position, do you just do that from watering your chest?
I think what you've got to do is work between what you're feeling and what the coaches are asking you to do and what you're repeating up and down the slide track. And you kind of, if they're saying, yeah, no, and you're thinking, no, that discussion has got to be had. All right? If you then go, no, I don't think so, and sit on this, and you're consistently doing numbers, you've got to then think, oh, actually, maybe this is a training thing I've got to listen to, and then you go back to your coach and say, look, I could sustain this, but it's going to take me a bit of time to adapt to that. All right? Especially if you're thinking you're loading through here, and you're not kind of getting into this kind of bit, or into that kind of bit, the two areas, the two limits of your range that we want to avoid.
Do you want to feel the load?
If you turn around, face me again. Okay, squat down. Drop your backside in. If you do that, okay, now pull against me. Right, now just stand yourself up a little bit. Keep going, lean back, lean back, lean back, lean back, lean back. Right, keep going. So you've got to do some sort of thing where you feel that transmission right through your backside into your quads.
Okay.
All right? Right. If you let yourself slump a fraction, it turns off, right? Slump a bit more. Right, now I'm just pulling at your shoulder girdle. Okay? So that's what you've got to work through. Right, well, where are we up to? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was like standing squat, feel bad. Oh, that feels all right. Feel bad. Have you guys had a go? I'm lost track of where we were up to. Okay, let's go. Relax. Hey. It's a bit like this. I'm going to throttle something here. Hang on. Sorry?
I don't feel like
Get into a comfortable position then. You find, this is what I was saying to, where they've gone, Rosa's gone. You find the comfortable position and see if this starts to marry up with what you're doing. You've got to get into a position where you can repeat it a lot. You've got to be able to breathe in your position. In that position, we want to make sure that you're not at one limit or the other limit, and therefore that loading mechanism that goes through. Doing this stuff on the earth is only one small sector of, hey, how can we experiment with that? We had this young lady over here, and we held hands, and she just squatted up and down. It was a bit, I don't like that. Oh, I don't like that. And then it was a bit like, oh, I'm just hanging there like that. I could do that. So the erg bit is one. Try it in many different ways. At the moment, we're just trying it on the erg to see if we can do it. Okay? Yeah, do you follow that? So it might not be your best place. Give it a go. But experiment with it. So what happened there?
It's swollen a little bit at the back.
What happened there?
I have back problems.
So you loaded and your butt went like that. That's what Rosa down here is saying. So okay, soften it a bit. Soften until you can kind of get a transmission about what's going on. Yeah, transmission of loading. Okay, let's go again. Okay, now do that again, but don't be so grumpy. And you don't have to lift your seat off the thing. Just do that nice and slow, absolutely as you were doing. Go on, just really soft. Hold on to everything in the process.
Should I lift?
Don't know. All right. All right. So what was the difference in that time? What were you doing then?
Just try to be a bit
Okay, so what you were doing is you had come up a little bit, yeah, and you were kind of looking around with your head, yeah, and you were thinking, oh, what's going on here? So you were just kind of there, right? Not this or doing. So I would be thinking, you could probably repeat that. That's what we're looking for, isn't it? Without having to go, yeah? It was just, oh, don't know what he's talking about, but I'm now off my seat. And that's what you want to repeat. And your coach down the side here was kind of going, oh, that's okay, that's okay. And remember, this is not kind of the perfect rowing stroke coaching thing. It's just like, how can we think to load through a zone and repeat that? Yeah? It also makes this girl work a little bit harder, this Rosa. How you going, guys, up here? They like it warm here, don't they?
Just watch when you come up this leg.
All right. It's all right, isn't it? Okay, and check out the breathing bits and pieces and that stuff as well. Go into, and now think about wrong position. So you can get an idea. Guys, if you get a good position, you kind of think, yeah, that was kind of okay. Go to the wrong position and kind of think, oh, shit, I don't want to reproduce that out on the water. Or, I don't want to force it so hard that I'm starting to drag through another injured part, So just, again, it's not utterly technical for the lumbar spine and those sorts of things, right? So let's be careful. But the idea that you can get the thoracic area and you can load through it with the correct kind of muscles and... I just reached down behind. Yeah.
I'm just going, I didn't know this right because I was holding it wrong. So without PA, you just feel like they're slumped and then they're really
Right, so we've got a free erg over here, or Rose has just come down onto it. If anybody's got any questions, don't forget to tackle me about that as well. Yeah, go for it. That's very Irish. You've an Irish accent?
I'm American.
American. It sounds incredibly Irish. Right, sorry. I shouldn't say. Keep going. Right, what are we talking about here?
Just her upper. I'm not really sure.
Okay. So we're looking right the way through thoracically, so we can load that. Okay, and yes, you're right. That's curved, and the arms are forward, and I don't know. I bet she gets told not to overreach every so often. But yeah, well, there you go. But that's fine. So what we're looking at is start to load a little bit. Go. Okay, now does it deform? Does it deform in the lumbar spine? Okay, so it kind of, and just rest every so often, right? Okay, so we're deforming. Now change position. Go into a. Okay, and. That's a tired position, isn't it? Try that. It's not so stable, is it? So you're right. If we were saying things, we might say something. What we actually want to see here is that if all of a sudden this shape really, if that shape really collapses under the load, then we might be a bit concerned about it. But if you can, in some position, hold that transmission, and by the look on this Rosa's face, you're holding quite some load there. So something's going right, okay? And I'm not saying that's perfect and that's the ideal rowing stroke and all that sort of thing, but something seems to be going right. So if we're now getting that transmission through here, down through to here somewhere, something's working okay, and we're kind of thinking that we've got to work through this zone as opposed to clamp down on that zone, isn't it? Okay? Careful. Just be soft. Just load. It was all right, wasn't it? Okay, so, and as I said and kind of pointed out quite strongly, this is not the full stroke coaching bit, it's right. We've got to think to load through this area without loading onto it ultimately and bash it up. And rowing's a strong thing, a strong kind of activity. We do the weights, we do the pushing around, we do the things, we push it hard. So the ability to feel that you can load and cope with that load and how you're loading is quite important. If we're then thinking, okay, we are loading, it is quite tough out there and you are a bit kind of ribby and a bit sore, what are we going to do about it? What should we do when we come in and start working it around, or what should we do at home? Some stretchings, a little bit of flexibility. And that's where I'll do this kind of next sector. Because we start changing things around, we start to develop little bits of aches and pains, and or the normal training is quite tough and will have you going that way. So we've got the rollers around the gymnasium, and these come in all different sorts of shapes and sizes, myriads of different colours and kind of densities. They're all really good. The idea, you need another rosa. This Germanic rosa will do. It's supporting Belgium. Right, so we're looking at the long thoracic curve. And we've already said that we like the long thoracic curve. We've already said that we like the idea that the latissimus down in this kind of zone, we need to be able to activate and use. That's what we were doing, those small kind of ergometer things. We know that if we stick the chest up too far, we get all tight through this lot of erector spinae down here. That's bad because we can't breathe. On the other side of it, we don't want to drop your chest into your tummy too much, because that will get us all kind of clamped around and put the shoulder girdle in the wrong place. So when we come in off the water, we actually want to think, right, we probably have been a bit kind of flexed like this through. So what we want to do is take that backwards, backwards, backwards and extend the thoracic spine, and the thoracic spine doesn't go very far. That's where these things are quite good. We also want to think that if we've been turning around to kind of bow side, bow side, bow side, bow side, that actually it's probably quite good to then think that you're going to go round, 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 round to stroke side in some sort of stretch, and have a look at that too. Okay? And again, we're just talking about this bit down through here. Now, the easiest ways to do, have you used a roll before?
Yeah.
How do you use them?
I'll probably use one of those, to be honest.
Okay, that's fine. Just have a lay down onto your back. Alright, now, thoracic spine. So we know that the thoracic, just drop your back on yourself because I'll have you there from you, won't you? Right, so we said we wanted to go backwards, but in holding on to Rosa's head here, we might need to think, well actually you can hold on to your head because we don't want the head dropping back. Hold on to your head. Keep your elbows kind of in and forward, and you can either roll backwards or just very lightly extend backwards and then sit back up, let it roll a centimetre back and extend back through another place, come back, let it roll through a fraction more. So the 12 thoracic vertebrae you can just start to articulate into a different position. Now, all you're doing is kind of, if you've been sitting a little bit in the boat and a little bit slumped, what you can do then is just articulate back, so you're just giving yourself a stretch. If you're at home, and you can use different make, no particular preference over these ones. With the plastic ones, you've got to check. Any of you got these plastic ones of your own?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just got to check that the plastic doesn't crack. So just if you drop yourself down onto that, some people find it utterly uncomfortable. Put it right in the middle. Again, hold on to your head. And just bend your knees up. Don't stay there very long, it's uncomfortable. Right, so in that format, and up comes, so we'll just not keep Rosa there for too long. In that format, you're going to get the ribs kind of opening up and dropping down from their thoracic attachments as they swing down and around. So you've been in that kind of flexed and possibly rotated position, then you're just going to go and pull it up and open them out. You can do that equally with a roll-up towel. Okay, roll-up towel this way, at home on a hard floor, roller at different positions coming up through the thoracic spine, roll-up towel, roller, on when we are talking about these bits. Okay, so we do lots and lots of flexing and rotating, slumping through there. You want to go and mobilize in the opposite direction. So extension and then rotation, extension. Okay, the roller. I quite like them, some people don't. Exercises in general. Have a stand up. We can do some of that stuff in our normal kind of, and many people do these anyway, in our normal kind of fashion. You can get into an extension kind of position. Just clasp your hands together. That's it. Great. Push your hands downwards and away and kind of backwards. And you can achieve a straightening maneuver, again, very simply in this way. Okay? Or, hands around the back, or clasp your hands here. Just draw your elbows together. And you can just work upwards in that direction. And again, you can get a great extension kind of position there. Now, we won't have Rosa sitting down. I'll show you with it standing up. Somehow, either hands here, or 1 and 1. If she was sitting down, that would mean her backside and pelvis would be fixed, right, on a bench or something, or on an erg. We would want to go round and rotate one way, okay, and round and rotate the other way. Okay, so we've got rotation, extension, which is really what we're looking for since we spend most of our time in flexion rotation. Okay, flexion rotation. Thank you. All right. So the final kind of thing that we're not going to go through today, don't forget the other bits that are going to have an effect on the thoracic area. Hamstrings are going to govern your lumbar spine. Lumbar spine pain, poor. We don't like that. Watching what your shoulders do, we've already talked about that. Position your thoracic spine first. Okay, and that's in all of your kind of gym, weights, ergo stuff. And lastly, play around with it. Okay, that's what we did today. We kind of thought, oh, I don't really know how to do that. Well, figure it out yourselves. You're a bright bunch, right? So figure it out, work through, look at those positions that you need to get to. Talk to your coaches about it.